The clever fox and the proud crow. Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the forest, there lived a clever fox named Felix. Felix was known for his quick thinking and cunning nature. He had bright orange fur, sharp eyes, and a fluffy tail that swished like the wind. His mind was always working, always looking for the next opportunity, and that's why no one dared to challenge Felix, except one creature. In the tallest oak tree at the center of the forest lived a proud crow named Coraline. Coraline had feathers as black as the night sky and a beak that glistened like polished onyx. She was proud of her beauty, but even prouder of her sharp mind. "I am the cleverest in the whole forest," she would caw every morning. "No one is as smart as me." Felix, of course, heard Coraline's boasts every day. The more he heard her talk, the more it annoyed him. "Clever, is she?" Felix muttered to himself one sunny afternoon. "We'll see about that." One morning, Felix woke up with a brilliant plan to teach Coraline a lesson in humility. He wandered through the forest, his ears perked for the sound of Coraline's usual boasting. It wasn't long before he spotted her, perched high on the oak tree with a shiny piece of cheese in her beak. Felix's sharp eyes glinted. This was the perfect opportunity. Coraline had found the cheese earlier that day while flying over a picnic in a nearby village. She was now resting on the highest branch, proudly holding the cheese in her beak, too pleased with her find to even eat it. Instead, she wanted to show off to the forest. Felix approached the base of the tree quietly, careful not to startle the crow. Then, he called up in his sweetest voice, "Good morning, Coraline. You look so radiant up there, glistening against the sky. What an impressive figure you cut." Coraline puffed out her chest, flapping her wings proudly but kept the cheese tightly in her beak. Felix smiled to himself. "Ah, I see you have something in your beak. A delicious piece of cheese, no doubt. How fitting for such a magnificent bird like you. Surely, you found that prize with your unmatched cleverness and grace." Coraline's eyes brightened at the praise. She adored being admired. "But," Felix continued, "everyone knows that you are not only the most beautiful bird in the forest, but also the most intelligent. I have heard you sing before, and your voice is as sweet as the nightingale's." Now, this was something Coraline had not heard before. She knew she was smart and beautiful, but could she sing as beautifully as a nightingale? Her heart swelled with pride, and she thought to herself, "I'll show him how wonderful my voice is." Felix watched closely, knowing exactly what Coraline was thinking. He added, "Oh, what I wouldn't give to hear a song from the brilliant and beautiful Coraline. I'm sure it would be the most enchanting sound in the whole forest." Unable to resist the temptation, Coraline opened her beak wide to caw proudly. But the moment she did, the cheese slipped out of her beak and fell straight into Felix's waiting paws. Felix quickly snatched it up, licking his lips in delight. Coraline blinked, stunned at what had just happened. She cawed in frustration, realizing too late that she had been tricked. Felix looked up at her with a sly grin and said, "Thank you, Coraline. You certainly are beautiful, but perhaps being a little less proud and a little more careful would suit you better." Coraline was furious, but more than that, she was embarrassed. She had let her pride get the better of her and had been outwitted by Felix. The other animals, who had witnessed the clever fox's trick, began to chatter among themselves. Some laughed softly, while others simply shook their heads in disbelief. Coraline, however, felt her feathers ruffle with shame. The lesson grows the weeks passed, and Coraline couldn't shake the embarrassment of her mistake. She no longer flew through the forest with the same confidence. The usual boasting she loved to share with the animals had become a faint memory. But in that silence, something unexpected began to grow: humility. Coraline started observing the forest, not as a queen above it all, but as part of it. She listened more than she spoke, learning about the creatures that lived around her. One day, Coraline spotted Felix resting by a stream, looking a little troubled. Curiosity piqued, she flew down and perched on a low branch nearby. "Felix," she called, her voice softer now, "you seem lost in thought. What's bothering you?" Felix, surprised to hear Coraline speak without her usual boastfulness, raised an eyebrow. "Oh, it's nothing important," he said, trying to dismiss her. But Coraline didn't leave. Felix sighed. "Well, if you must know, I've heard rumors of a treasure hidden deep in the forest, guarded by an old owl named Oscar. It's said that whoever answers his riddle can claim the treasure. I was thinking of trying my luck, but I've never been great with riddles." Coraline's eyes gleamed with interest. She had always been good with riddles and puzzles. But instead of bragging, she thought for a moment. "Maybe we could work together," she suggested. "I'm good with riddles, and you're clever with everything else. We might have a better chance as a team." Felix, though proud of his independence, was impressed by Coraline's offer. He knew that working together could indeed increase their chances of success. "Very well," he agreed, "let's go see this owl." The owls challenged. The two made their way through the forest until they reached an ancient hollow tree where the wise owl, Oscar, was said to live. As they approached, a voice echoed from within the tree, deep and wise. "Who comes seeking the treasure of the forest?" "It's Felix the fox and Coraline the crow," Felix replied confidently. "We've come to answer your riddle." The owl appeared, his large golden eyes gleaming in the darkness of the tree. "Very well," said Oscar, "listen closely, for I will only speak the riddle once." He hooted once, then asked, "I speak without a mouth, and I hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Felix's mind raced, but nothing came to him. He glanced at Coraline, hoping she might have an idea. Coraline, who had been thinking carefully, smiled and whispered, "It's an echo." Felix's eyes widened in surprise. "An echo," he declared aloud. Oscar blinked slowly, then smiled. "You are correct, clever crow," he hooted. "The treasure is yours." From a hidden nook in the tree, Oscar retrieved a small, shining key and gave it to Coraline and Felix. "This key unlocks a special knowledge," Oscar explained. "With it, you will learn that wisdom lies not just in cleverness, but in kindness and cooperation." Felix and Coraline, now wiser than ever before, thanked the owl and left the forest, treasure in hand. They had learned that true cleverness comes not just from outsmarting others, but from working together and using their strengths wisely. The treasure of friendship. As they walked through the forest with the key, Felix looked at Coraline with newfound respect. "You've changed, Coraline," he said. "I once thought you were all pride and no sense, but I see now that there's more to you." Coraline nodded thoughtfully. "And I see that being clever isn't just about winning or tricking others. We're better when we help each other." From that day on, Felix and Coraline became the most unexpected of friends. They still had their moments of wit and competition, but now, it was in the spirit of fun, not pride. The forest animals watched in amazement as the clever fox and the once proud crow worked together, sharing stories, solving puzzles, and finding joy in each other's company. The lesson they had learned was greater than any treasure Oscar could have given them. True wisdom comes from humility, friendship, and using your gifts for the greater good. And so, Felix and Coraline lived happily in the forest, their rivalry replaced by a bond of respect and understanding, teaching all who saw them the value of working together. The end. Moral of the story: pride may come before a fall, but wisdom, friendship, and cooperation can lift us all.